it's been such a joy to work for a company like Prime. One, because of our purpose. We're a purpose, mission-driven organization.
When I think of innovate for growth as one of our cultural commitments, it's really allowing for, ideas to come forward that are mild to wild, right? To kind of challenge status quo and come up with innovative solutions.
And then finally winning together. We're such a collaborative organization. And so we really, in the interview process, look for people who, aren't just sailing alone, that they are interested in, working as a team to help make the greatest impact that they can.
A good workplace culture unites and energizes a company. And at Prime, we believe our culture offers limitless opportunities to make a real difference. Hi, I'm Laura Spitzack, your host for today's Power of People episode of Pharmacy Friends. I'm lucky to welcome two experts, Erin Feigal and Jeff Kaczrowski, to talk about our culture commitments and what they mean to our 7,000 plus employees who are innovating every day to help simplify the complex and do what's right for millions of people across the nation. Let's dig in. Today, we're going to be talking about Prime's culture. But really more than that, we're going to be talking about how that culture really helps us achieve our vision to reimagine pharmacy solutions. So I've got two leaders from our HR organization here with me today, Erin Feigal, our Chief Human Resources Officer, and Jeff Kaczrowski, who leads our talent organization. So Erin, you want to just take a few minutes and introduce yourself?
Sure. Well, thanks, Laura. Thanks for having us both here today. Like you said, I'm Erin Feigal. I lead human resources at Prime. I've been at Prime for 12 years, and I've been in the CHRO role for about 10 of that. And I'm happy to be here today talking a little bit about Prime and our culture.
Awesome. Jeff.
Yeah, well, thanks again for having me. And Erin, looking forward to the conversation. As you mentioned, my name is Jeff Kaczrowski, Director of Talent Acquisition. I've been with Prime for 4 years, and it's been a really enjoyable 4 years as we've seen Prime continue to evolve and grow, and looking forward to diving in a little bit deeper to this conversation.
Sounds good. So question for both of you, how did you end up in HR? Erin, let's start with you.
Well, that's a great question. Sometimes I ask myself that question too. I actually started out in college as an art minor and a communications major, and kind of fell into human resources. I ended up having an internship with Target one summer, and it was a management internship, and there's a lot of HR connections in day-to-day management of a Target store. But Target was actually opening up a new store in Western Minnesota, and they asked a number of different people to come and help for a couple of days on these big mass hiring events. And so I got to go and interview people for a number of different days. And I just really loved the experience of being that first contact that people had in an organization, and to be an influential part of their kind of career exploration. And I was really kind of hooked in the HR path from there. So I kind of just set my sights on a career in HR right about that time. And here I am.
Jeff, how about you?
Yeah, so I would say, thinking back to different points in my career, prior to my start in HR, I was working at a university leading alumni relations work, and I constantly got the request of, hey, Jeff, who do you know that works at this company? Or I'm trying to network and get into there. And it really fueled my excitement to want to source and want to network and make those connections, and in that case, help alumni get into their dream job, but really to start their career. And that really just kind of amplified my desire to jump full-fledged into a recruiting space. And I've been here ever since.
I love hearing how people land in HR, or really any part of an organization. It's never a straight path, and it's always something interesting and different that sparks kind of how you're going to end up where you're going to be.
Yeah, so true.
Let's move more into talking about culture. So when we think about culture and think about, what it is, what is it about the company's personality? And when you think about who Prime is and what we would say our culture is, Erin, how would you start that conversation? Or if somebody just said to you, what is it like to work at Prime?
Yeah. Well, I think first and foremost, I would say from my personal experience, it's been such a joy to work for a company like Prime. One, because of our purpose. We're a purpose, mission-driven organization, and we're privately held. So that really allows us to focus on that purpose first and foremost. We're also, the size company that people can really feel like you're part of, a well-established organization. It's big enough that, you're not starting everything from scratch, but it's also small enough that you can feel your impact day to day and understand where you fit and can contribute to new ideas versus feeling like a cog in a wheel or something like that. So I guess above all, I would say just that balance of, kind of a big company infrastructure, but a small company kind of feel day to day is what I hear about Prime. I also hear, very often that we're described as a very warm organization. And that warmth is kind of carried forward right from the get-go through our recruiting process. So people feel a part of something and cared for in that process, and that rolls right into our onboarding process. And, those first days, weeks, and months that employees feel at an organization are they make such an impact on what an employee is going to experience, how they're going to feel. And that's by design. We know, and we've thought long and hard about what employees need to feel a part of Prime and to feel really connected. And so we've established a lot of those connection points really purposefully.
Jeff, do you hear some of the same things when you're talking to candidates or people who are newly hired into the organization?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say one thing, Erin, that you said that really stands out is related to our purpose. Folks that are at Prime are here for that shared purpose, and they firmly believe in it, and it's authentic. And you can see that, you can feel that in terms of how people approach their work. And when I think of a lot of our team members, there's such a level of, curiosity, drive, passion in the work that they do. And we hear that a lot from new hires that it's, usually the comments of like, wow, you weren't joking. People really are aligned to our purpose, and they are very passionate about the work that they're doing. So that's fun to see. It's fun to be able to articulate that throughout the interview process, but then also get that feedback from new hires as well.
So when people think about culture right now, when they think about companies, a lot of times the question is around, where am I going to be working? Is this a remote organization, a hybrid organization? So I'm wondering if the two of you can spend a little time talking about Prime's approach to that and how we think about where we're working and how that connects to the culture that we're building within our organization.
Yeah. Well, we actually have coined a phrase or a term for how we work at Prime. It's called hub and home. And really with the thought that our hub is, we have different hubs throughout the country where people can come in and have collaborative time together, but our primary workspace is at home. And that's where day-to-day work happens, kind of heads down, normal meetings, that kind of thing. But we come together in a hub space like we are here today to collaborate, to connect face-to-face, to build relationships, to build trust, to brainstorm. Those connections are really curated now that, we have two different kind of ways of working. We curate those moments. We really make sure that they're thoughtful and really meaningful and can really kind of fuel connection for the days that we're not together in person.
Jeff, what are you hearing from candidates who are asking questions about, work location like this?
Yeah, I would say we constantly get questions from job seekers or candidates about our remote work environment. And a lot of positive feedback from candidates where a lot of job seekers truly want the ability to work remote, to have that flexibility. But I do think it is unique that we have the hub and home model because Prime Landing offers such a great opportunity for that sense of community to be together in person. And that's really unique. I will say, though, also from a job seeker perspective, being able to recruit across the nation really allows us to bring in such diversity of thought and experience. And that really makes, Prime what it is today, the culture that we have.
I think, Erin, you were the one who was talking about curiosity and finding different ways of being curious and different perspectives brings that different lens of curiosity into the work that we do, which really gets us into our next topic, which is thinking about how our culture really helps drive our business results, with this opportunity to have people from so many parts of the country being able to influence what we do and how we do it. So when we think about Prime and we think about our purpose-driven, mission and how we want to reimagine pharmacy, how would you say our culture kind of helps impact what we do there and helps drive us towards that?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, like I said, the purpose statement that we have to reimagine pharmacy management to provide the same care that we would want for our loved ones, that purpose statement is really, how can you not get on board with something like that, to provide the same care that you would want for our loved ones? That's something that each and every one of us can connect to at a really deep level. And it brings meaning to our day-to-day work, no matter what it is. If we're helping a member or client directly, or if we're helping those who are connecting with members and clients directly, it's just so rooted in who we are, and it feels so good. So on top of that, the way that we bring that to life at Prime is through our culture commitments. And this is a nice kind of structure for us to just make sure that we're all connecting on the same themes, to deliver results, to do what's right, to innovate for growth and win together. Those are things that we are all thinking about every day as we're interacting both virtually and in person. And they're things that we're all assessed on each year in our performance appraisals. And so it becomes really a common language for us in how we're behaving and how we're interacting each day.
And do employees play that back to you in any way when they're thinking about, or when you're hearing from them about how the culture influences the way they think about what the work is that they're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Employees, Jeff had kind of mentioned too, that he hears from, folks on the recruiting side that, oh my gosh, you weren't kidding, that this purpose, and the culture commitments are really felt in their experience right away. So we hear from employees that this isn't just talk. It's really part of the culture and part of the fabric of who we are at Prime.
Jeff, any further thoughts on how that culture affects what we're doing?
Yeah. I really think the culture commitments helps a lot, even from a recruitment lens, articulate how we do our work and what we value and what's important. And it really allows for a space for new hires or those progressing throughout their Prime tenure to be their authentic self, to have that level of vulnerability, to share ideas. When I think of innovate for growth as one of our cultural commitments, it's really allowing for, ideas to come forward that are mild to wild, right? To kind of challenge status quo and come up with innovative solutions. And that's really appealing to a lot of people joining our organization, to be able to be in that space, to be able to, share their perspective, their thoughts, their ideas. So we certainly see it a lot as we're going through the interview process, being able to talk about our culture commitments and what we really value in terms of not the what, but the how we do our work.
I love that phrase you just used, from mild to wild. I'm going to remember that one. That was fantastic. And it's a good transition for us too, as we're talking about, what are you seeing, or what are some of the foundations that you have when you're thinking about how are we looking for people to join our organization who are going to bring these mild and wild ideas back to us? When you think about what we hold true and what we value in terms of how we're doing our recruiting.
I think one big thing that we certainly try to stress quite a bit is, you're not joining Prime just for a job. Hopefully it's truly a career and that you have a long runway with us. And that runway could really evolve and be shaped over time in terms of how an individual's role expands, or maybe it is a different role. And that's exciting to be able to support that, not just for new hires, but also our internal team members to be able to share different opportunities for them to grow in their career as Prime's also continue to evolve and grow as well.
So Erin, can you comment on some of Jeff has said some of it, but some of the things that we're looking for and we're asking our candidates when they're looking at Prime and we're looking at them, what are some of those things that immediately stand out?
Yeah. Well, even in the recruiting process, we root back to our culture commitments, and they're centered around those types of things. So examples of doing what's right when, sometimes, yes, doing what's right can be, speaking up when, something seems wrong or not in line with our principles or goals or that type of thing. But even just that courageousness of speaking up, that's the first thing that people need to be able to have in order to do what's right in a scenario like that. So we're looking for courageous communicators, those who have showed examples of how they have, done what's right. Also, maybe in the wake of a time when it wasn't easy. Doing what's right isn't always the easy thing. Delivering results, showing how people have been dedicated to the work, dedicated to doing what's right for the customer or member, and challenging results and metrics and things like that to achieve those goals. Innovation, like Jeff said, we want to learn about where people have been innovative, and it can be, I love it. What was it? The mild to wild. Yeah. We can innovate in all different aspects of our work. It doesn't have to be that any one of us are coming up with the next new product or the next new business line. It can be innovating how we interact with each other to make communication more simple or clarifying. It can be, enhancing a process so it's a little less cumbersome. Innovation can come in so many different ways, shapes, and forms with everyone in our organization. And then finally, winning together. We're such a collaborative organization. And so we really, in the interview process, look for people who, aren't just sailing alone, that they are interested in, working as a team to help make the greatest impact that they can.
When we think about innovation, that really makes me be future focused and think about what's next. And I'd like to ask both of you, what are you excited about for the future of Prime? Where do you see us going? What excites you about some of the things that you see on our roadmap? Jeff, we'll start with you.
One thing that really stands out too, as we think of how we're attracting job seekers to Prime, is trying to kind of flip the script a little bit or change the narrative. Instead of new hires being culture ads, culture fits, it's a culture ad, right? And really being able to bring folks in that are going to be curious, that are going to want to grow with us, that really are adding a different perspective and lens. And I'm really excited about the future when I think of just that we really try to solicit that perspective, that feedback, so we can think of new innovative ideas, but also staying truly rooted and growing as a culture, right? And really trying to have that sense of community in the hybrid hub and home model that we're in.
Anything you'd add, Erin?
Yeah, similarly to Jeff, I would say that I'm really excited about a couple of different things. One, the impact that our business can have on our industry and on our nation, and also just the great things going on in our culture that just continue to get better and better. So, first on the business side of things, I would just say that, again, going back to our purpose statement, that right in our purpose statement, we say that we are reimagining pharmacy management. And we feel really part of that true reimagining. Our industry is ripe for changes, and we're part of that conversation. And a lot of the reason that we are is because of who we are and how we're structured and how we are set up in the industry. We're different. We're different than other PBMs in the marketplace, and we're really proud of that and want to continue to evolve to meet the market where it's at. So I would say, I've told people this in the interview process and at other times. I've been at Prime for 12 years, but this is the most exciting time to be at Prime. And it's been a great place to work all 12 years. If it wasn't, I wouldn't still be here after 12 years. But even with all of that, this is the most exciting time. Yes, there are challenges and headwinds, but that makes it exciting because we're up for that challenge and really poised to be a differentiator, continue to be a differentiator in the marketplace. So that's really exciting about our business. In terms of the culture, like I said, we've always had a really great culture here, but it continues to just get better and better. When we had a large acquisition 2.5 years ago, Magellan RX and Prime Therapeutics came together as one organization. We spent time talking about our purpose statement, talking about our new shared cultural values as, one Prime going forward. And it was an easy conversation, really, to get aligned on these things, and really exciting to see that our engagement from employees, our Glint survey results have only grown since then. And it just kind of feels like the sky's the limit right now at Prime, and a really exciting time.
Well, Jeff and Erin, thank you both so much for your time. What a great conversation. I love talking about Prime's culture, and it was such a pleasure to do it with both of you today. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you.
What a great conversation we just had with Erin and Jeff about Prime's culture and our purpose-driven organization that is dedicated to providing the kind of care we'd want for our loved ones. Thank you so much for listening. I'm your host, Laura Spitzack.